Hi, I'm Tarika, and I'm here to talk a little bit about the Transessence Technique, which I have given a subtitle, which is a tool for essential living. And I get asked over and over again, first of all, what is Transessence Technique? And then that question of how can it be a tool? What can it actually support people in being able to do in their daily life, which I think is very important that we have as many tools as possible to keep reminding us that our life is much, much bigger than what we have been trained to believe. And the Transessence Technique has one very specific corner of that understanding. It gives us an opportunity to begin to recognize the whole structure of what we call personality, which is made up of all the things that we learned when we were very small and we took it in because we had no choice, and it became part of who we were. So much so that we identify with it. We actually believe that we are all the things that we were told we should be, or we shouldn't be, or we should do, or we shouldn't do, all the ideas about life, about how things are supposed to happen in this life, whatever it is that we were given as a package to get us through literally our daily life in an early time when we really couldn't make choices for ourselves. So with the Transessence Technique, we have the opportunity to begin to unpack that baggage and to really clearly see it. What is our personality? What makes up that structure that we are contained in? And I say contained for a very important reason. It doesn't allow us to move in any direction. It holds us fixed in that old time when we were too small again to make any choices. So with the Transessence Technique, our focus is really, what is that structure? How can I understand it in every way possible? So I recognize when it gets activated, because it is with us for the rest of our lives. It's not something that we can let go of and forget about and move on. We need to recognize that it's always going to be there. But do we need to feed it? That's an interesting point. Do we need to keep giving it energy the way we do when we talk about this is who I am? This is me. This is the way it is. I have no choice. What else can I do? This is how life is. When we make those kind of statements, we're talking from that personality structure. We're in no way in touch with what's present. What does this moment actually give us that might allow us to move forward, that might allow us to make different choices than the ones that were made by the family that we grew up in? And the people who, in all their sincere wishes, wanted us to live a good life, but were just passing on to us the information that they had contained in their personality. So it is a very important tool to begin to recognize what the difference between living from that old program and experiencing a life from present time. Because in fact, present time is literally the only place where we have any chance to choose. We can't change the past. It is what it is. We don't know the future, even if we think we do. We don't know the future, so we have no way of making any choices there, but we can, in fact, make valid, healthy choices in this present moment. And with the Transessence Technique, we get the possibility in our hands, a way of saying, okay, if something's not working, if there's something going on in my life that I can't solve, I have a conflict. And the conflict is built into that personality structure. What do I need in order to leave it, to step beyond it, to move past it, to not deny it, because we can't, and people try often to deny their history. We can't deny it, but we don't have to go on teaching everybody our history. We don't have to keep telling them, this is because I have no choice, or this is because this is what happened to me when I was a child. We can stop telling that story. And once we do that, we realize that our life is much, much bigger, that the space that we get to inhabit in this life is much, much broader than anybody would ever have allowed us to know, because they didn't know. anybody could ever explain to us, because it would have been too much to understand that we have this enormous capacity inside of us. So with the Transessence Technique, I personally, and it really was my need that created this technique, I personally wanted to be able to really experience a living present time, a present time where action happens, where it's not just a wish and a hope and a prayer, but I can actually make a choice to move. And the more I do this technique, actually, I say I created it, but I actually have more the feeling it created itself out of a need that I had a long time ago, to be able to feel that I had the capacity to be present, that I could not just know about it because I knew meditation or I had studied a lot of, all the psychology, but because I actually could feel it, that it had actual life force and it had the capacity to move forward. That from that feeling sense, I could recognize that I was actually present. I was here. I existed. So there was, for me, the excitement when I started to question, why do I not actually live that, even though I know it? Deep down, I know it. Why am I not living it as an action? Why do I keep falling back on old programs, old patterns, old ideas, and, just kind of sabotaging my own life? So I studied literally myself with the help of one other person. And slowly this technique started to form. And it started to give a very clear picture of how I could recognize the structure of my personality and the parts that make it up and how they interact when I would be excited or freaked out or hurt or fearful, whatever, what was activated. And once I could recognize that, I could in fact bring myself into a feeling sense of being present and then recognize what I needed to do. Either something or nothing in that particular moment, but the struggle was gone. I wasn't fighting anymore inside. I wasn't giving myself a hard time. I was literally in touch with what I had as a capacity in that moment. And that was thrilling. And it became so exciting that I continued really to study my own issues for a while. And then I started talking to other people about it and recognizing that we all needed to learn this possibility of disidentification. Not denying anything, not pretending that we didn't have a history or willing it away or wishing it away, but acknowledging it and moving forward. So as a tool, the Transessence Technique is one of the things I love to share with people. They can put in their toolbox. There's many, many different ways to recognize present time, and this is one of them. It's a very practical, very simple, in a sense, technique, but also a very profound one, because the act of disidentification is challenging. Do we want to live beyond our conditioning? Do we want to live outside of a structure that has been related to our survival for however many years we might be alive at this point? Do we want that? Are we willing to take that challenge? And with the Transessence Technique, we can actually take it in a way where we respect the reasons why we hold on to our personality. We respect the understanding that there might still be a need for it until we're ready to let it go. And we don't push it. We actually honor that. And it is in that way an understanding that we can't break down our defenses, but we can understand them. And we can recognize if we still need them. So I sincerely support everyone in finding their way, whatever that is, to support an understanding of present time. And with the Transessence Technique, there's a very caring and loving and supportive protocol to bring this understanding more clearly into your conscious daily life. So I came here to say that this is an opportunity, this is available, this is something that everyone can have a chance to try out, to get in touch with, and to even recognize how much it can support them, to let go of those structures that just keep you stuck, that no matter what you do, there's no moving out of them because you're bound to them from a very old contract in your life to stay alive. And present time isn't interested in those contracts. It has actually no contract for living your life. It just gives you the opportunity to move forward. So yes, that's how Transessence Technique is a tool for essential living. It does allow you to live from an essential, much more healthy and much more exciting place inside.